CJ Stroud. Oh, what do you know? The greatness of CJ Stroud continues. This is Sports Guy Talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about CJ Stroud taking the Texans to the NFL playoffs for the first time since the 2019 NFL season. Not only did CJ Stroud pull off that feat, he also had a historic rookie season as he became one of just 5 rookie quarterbacks in the history of the NFL to throw for over 4,000 passing yards. The future of the Texans is looking very bright, and CJ Stroud has played a tremendous role in that happening. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So, here it is. Did CJ Stroud have the greatest rookie season ever for a quarterback? Absolutely. I don't even think it's close in terms of the impact and difficulty that CJ Stroud has had all season long. You look at how CJ Stroud was a game changer. How many rookies you know are immediate game changers? Also, you look at the fact how he turned the Houston Texans from the worst team in the NFL into a playoff contender overnight. You look at how CJ Stroud, he had no running game in Houston whatsoever. Who's his running back one? Devin Singletary? Come on, that's a freaking joke. Devin Singletary is not a running back one on most teams. Devin Singletary is a career journeyman at the running back position. You look at who he has a wide receiver. His wide receiver one is Nico Collins. Now, don't get me wrong. Nico Collins is extremely underrated and he's a playmaker in big games. But let's be honest about ourselves. Nico Collins on most teams would not be a wide receiver one. Nico Collins on most teams would probably be a wide receiver two. But you look at the other receivers that CJ Stroud is working with. You look at how Tank Dell is considered to be one of the top receivers on the Houston Texans. However, Tank Dell is injured for the Texans and he's out for the year. You also look at how he also has injured receivers in Noah Brown and Robert Woods. So you look at how the Houston Texans have been missing 3 out of their top 4 receivers, and it doesn't matter for CJ Stroud. You look at how CJ Stroud has been a game changer despite a lack of weapons for the Houston Texans minus Nico Collins. You look at how his second best pass catcher is Dalton Schultz, a tight end that most people consider to be mediocre. And you look at how the other receivers are essentially non-factors in the passing game. Xavier Hutchinson, John Metke III, come on, these are not real weapons for the Houston Texans. And obviously, you look at the impact that CJ Stroud has on the city of Houston, and it's very impressive. He has changed the entire culture and outlook of the Houston Texans. Prior to CJ Stroud coming to the Houston Texans, how did people feel about the Houston Texans? They felt like the Houston Texans were a wasteland and that was a place where quarterbacks went to die. But CJ Stroud changed that narrative entirely. You look at how CJ Stroud, he plays like the second coming of Tom Brady. And for the Carolina Panthers to pass up on CJ Stroud in order to take Bryce Young number 1, that decision is looking worse and worse as time goes on. I understand that Bryce Young, he might eventually become a good quarterback, even though I'm starting to have my doubts about that. But I always knew that CJ Stroud was a much better quarterback than Bryce Young. That's not a knock on Bryce Young. That's just how good I feel about CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud is low-key the Michael Jordan of the NFL. The Panthers passing up on CJ Stroud is going to be remembered as the Portland Trailblazers taking Sam Bowie instead of Michael Jordan with their number 2 overall pick in the 1984 NBA draft. That's how bad the Carolina Panthers messed it up. And that's a damn shame for the Panthers to do that because their head coach Frank Reich wanted the Carolina Panthers to take CJ Stroud. But that didn't happen because David Tepper wanted Bryce Young. He overruled Frank Reich in terms of wanting CJ Stroud at the quarterback position. And now look at how the Panthers have to suffer because of David Tepper's decision making. And you look at how the Houston Texans gained a lot of respect, at least on a national level. You look at how CJ Stroud, 23 touchdowns on the year, only 5 picks. He's been extremely efficient with the football. You look at how he has redefined the standard of great rookie quarterbacks in the NFL. You look at the other great rookie quarterbacks in the NFL. Some of them include Cam Newton, Andrew Luck, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, Matt Ryan. You could even throw in Peyton Manning's name, even though Peyton Manning did throw 28 interceptions in 1998. I'm just going to throw in Peyton Manning's name because he did have the record for most touchdowns by a rookie during that time, which was not broken until years later. My point is CJ Stroud lit up the NFL as a rookie and he led the league in TD-INT ratio. What kind of freaking rookie does that? No one. That's what. You look at how CJ Stroud was a transcendent player despite being in a bad organization. You look at how he has overcome having a rookie defensive-minded head coach. Now, that's not a disrespect to DeMeco Ryans, but I'm just talking about the current state of NFL coaches. You look at the best coaches in the NFL. They're all what? They're all offensive-minded head coaches. And DeMeco DeMeco Ryans is not an offensive-minded head coach. He is a defensive-minded head coach. And no, he's not a veteran defensive-minded head coach. He is a first-year defensive-minded head coach. So you look at how CJ Stroud was able to succeed despite having rigged circumstances in his place. You look at how Bobby Slowik, he has played a tremendous role in the turnaround of the Houston Texans offense. He's the offensive coordinator of the Texans. He has gotten the most out of CJ Stroud and that receiving core that exists in Houston. Let's be honest, if you put Bryce Young in Houston, they're not even sniffing the playoffs. They probably don't even win more than 3 or 4 games in there, and we're just being straight up honest with ourselves, because you look at how CJ Stroud at one point had 4 offensive linemen on injured reserve. So obviously when you look at a quarterback's protection, you're thinking, wow, how do you overcome having 4 offensive linemen on injured reserve? Well, he learned how to get rid of the football quickly, and he learned how to get through his progressions rather efficiently. And when you have a quarterback that can do that, that bodes well for your franchise. Now, as far as whether the Houston Texans can be contenders in the playoffs, I don't see that happening. As much as I want to say CJ Stroud will win a playoff game this year, I just can't bring myself to do it. I don't think it's going to happen. You know why I don't think that's going to happen? Because I'm looking at their first round match. I'm looking at who they play in the wild card round. It's the Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Browns are a good football team. You look at their defense. They've been elite this season on that side of the ball. You look at how Myles Garrett, he's been a game changer. You look at how Denzel Ward, he's been one of the best corners in all of football, and their collective defense has been dominant all year long. Offensively, they can run the football. They got Jerome Ford. They've got Kareem Hunt. They can wear down the Houston Texans defense running the football. And of course, they've got playoff Joe Flacco as the quarterback. Now, I know that regular season Joe Flacco doesn't put up great numbers, but when you talk about Joe Flacco in the postseason, he is built different. Playoff Joe Flacco is a real thing. And when you talk about playoff Joe Flacco, he is as explosive as any quarterback. I expect Joe Flacco to have a huge game for the Cleveland Browns come playoff time. I'm expecting Amari Cooper to gas up the Houston Texans secondary. Amari Cooper is an underrated wide receiver 1. He is a playmaker, and I expect Joe Flacco to throw the football to Amari Cooper early and often. I expect this game to be competitive, but ultimately the Cleveland Browns are going to pull away from the Houston Texans. I just don't see how the Texans are going to have enough firepower to stop the Cleveland Browns from being able to win this game, because the Browns are the better team on defense. They have the better offensive line. They have the better defensive line. Joe Flacco is more experienced in the playoffs compared to CJ Stroud. They can run the football, and the fact that their head coach Kevin Stefanski has done an amazing job for what the Cleveland Browns have done this year, despite having Deshaun Watson on injured reserve and having 26% of the salary cap players being on injured reserve. For the Cleveland Browns to be in this position, congrats to them. They've done a tremendous job. Same thing with the Houston Texans. Even though they have a team mostly filled with rookies and second-year players, this is one of the youngest teams in the NFL. They are in the NFL playoffs, and they get to host a playoff game. Who would have thought that about the Houston Texans heading into the year? I predicted the Houston Texans would win 6 games before the year started, and a lot of people thought, why am I overestimating the Houston Texans? Well, CJ Stroud ended up proving those haters wrong and saying that, hey, maybe I should have predicted more than 6 wins for the Houston Texans, because the Houston Texans have played some really good football all year long, and honestly, the Texans could be a team that should have been better than 10-7 if only the kicker had made the game-tying kick against Jacksonville, or maybe if they managed to make the opponents miss 2 game-winning kicks. My point is the Houston Texans are a team that is capable of being better than what the record shows. The Houston Texans have played really good football, and CJ Stroud, quite frankly, is an NFL superstar in the making. It's not even a question. CJ Stroud has played tremendous football for the Houston Texans. He's going to continue playing great football. He had the greatest rookie season ever for a quarterback. That's not even much of a question to me. You look at how CJ Stroud outperformed guys like Cam Newton in the rookie year, and we all know that Cam Newton had a historic rookie year for the Carolina Panthers, but he was not as great of a passer as CJ Stroud was. You look at how Andrew Luck, he had a great year for the Indianapolis Colts. He took that team to 11 wins, but Andrew Luck had an easier time on that roster than CJ Stroud, because CJ Stroud was playing for a historically awful organization, and he did it with no running game whatsoever. You look at how Justin Herbert, he had a historic rookie year as well, but CJ Stroud was better than Justin Herbert his rookie year, because Justin Herbert didn't take the Chargers to the playoffs, even though the Chargers had a better roster. You look at how CJ Stroud effectively played like an MVP candidate at certain times this year. When you hear a rookie quarterback playing like an MVP, that's how you know he had a historic year and that he was awesome his rookie year. I give CJ Stroud an A+ for his rookie year. He is going to be an NFL superstar. It's only going to get better from here. If you're the Texans, I expect CJ Stroud to be an elite quarterback sooner rather than later. Don't be surprised if he wins an MVP at some point in the future. As far as how the game is going to play out, I think the Cleveland Browns are going to beat the Houston Texans though, because the Browns are the better team. They can run the football, they can play defense, and even though CJ Stroud is the better quarterback, he is not quite experienced enough yet to win in the playoffs. Hopefully I'm proven wrong though, because I'm rooting for the Texans to win, but I think ultimately the Browns are going to beat the Texans. The score is going to be 27-16 Browns, so ultimately I got Browns score scoring 27, while I got the Texans scoring 16. So that's why CJ Stroud had the greatest rookie season ever for a quarterback in NFL history. However, I do not see the Texans beating the Browns in the wild card round, as the Browns will beat the Texans by the score of 27-16. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking. Like the video and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the Dustin Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Dustin Tran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter at Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below. Check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.